Today is February 25th, 2014. My name is Cheryl Walker, and I will be interviewing Mr. Chalus. Mr. Chalus was born 5/30/1946 in Germany. Mr. Chalus, could you state for the record what war and branch of service you served in?
I was in the Marine Corps and I was in Vietnam.
Okay. And what was your highest rank?
Corporal.
Okay, would you like to share your story about your time in service and your history?
Well, I was born in Germany right after the war. I was born in a refugee camp. My parents came to America. I grew up in the north side of Chicago in the Ukrainian community. I went to Thule High School. After high school, I went and joined the Marine Corps. And after the Marine Corps, I got out and worked construction for 40 years, 38 years as an iron worker out of Local 1. And I retired in October of '09, and I started volunteering at Lovell Hospital. And basically, my whole story, just not much to it. Just served 4 years in the Marine Corps, proudly served, and now I'm helping other veterans here. So.
What made you join the Marine Corps?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe I seen a John Wayne movie and I just wanted to be a big hero. I don't know. Just I joined when I was 17. I turned 18 in boot camp. When you're at that age, the logic part of your brain isn't really that up to snuff. So I knew I wasn't going to go in the Navy. It's either the Army or the Marine Corps, and it turned out to be the Marine Corps. So.
Okay. What years did you serve in the Marine Corps?
I was March 24th, 1964 to March 24th, 1968. I was in Vietnam in September of '66 to October '67.
Okay, and you were stationed in Chile the whole time?
Chula and Da Nang area, yeah, in between the two. I was in the northern I Corps area, as in the southern part of the I Corps. Chula is probably the very end of the southern part of the I Corps. So that's where the Marines at that time. I think after '68, then the Army moved in and they took it over. The Marines were just up by the EMZ most of the time.
Did you get any, while you were in Vietnam, did you get any leave? We were allowed to go to Bangkok. I chose to stay in country. I went to Da Nang, and I forgot what it was called now. It's been so long. I forgot that it was Da Nang anyways. It's just outside of the little beach area there, right off of Red China Beach. So it was nothing like the one that they showed on TV in the movies. Completely different. Were you allowed to come back to your base camp every so many days, or how many days were you allowed to come back to your base camp?
I stayed mostly in Chula, the area. We'd go out on convoys to resupply. I was in ammo, and we'd go out for 2 or 3 days and just go back again. So I was not a field Marine. I was more obviously I was in the ammo dump. So basically everywhere we went on convoy. So.
Okay. So you were more at your base camp.
Yeah, I stayed more at base camp than on the field. So.
Okay. Where did you take your basic?
I was a Hollywood Marine. I went to San Diego. So.
When you talk about being a Hollywood Marine, what do you mean by that?
It's just a slang. It's if you go through Parris Island, they call it an island Marine. When you're out of the West Coast, San Diego, it's just they claim that San Diego Marines aren't as tough as the Parris Island Marines, so they call us the Hollywood Marines. So it's just it's a little dig between the two boot camps. Other than that, there's no difference. So.
Okay. Now, did you know right away that you were going to Vietnam?
Oh no. After boot camp, I was in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for almost a year and a half, and then I got orders for Vietnam. After Vietnam, They sent me to Beaufort, South Carolina, a Marine Air Base, a Marine Air Wing, and I spent my last 6 months there, and then I got discharged from there. So I enjoyed that part. I mean, I got to skydive there. They had a skydiving team, not part of the Marine Corps, just a bunch of Marines that enjoyed skydiving. So I joined that, and I got a chance to. Why jump out of a plane? I don't know, but I just wanted to jump out of a plane to see if I could do it, I guess.
So you actually did skydiving too?
Yes, yeah. Like I said, it wasn't part of the Marine Corps. The Marines supplied us the aircraft and let us jump on base. But the Marines, they were actually part of the skydiving club. They supplied the parachutes. We used some old military chutes. We just cut the back panels out of them for an L shape, and that's what we used. It's all static line. I jumped 1,400 feet. It wasn't nothing really to free fall. I only free fall for a few seconds, then the parachute would open up. So I only made 4 jumps. So when I got there, we started jumping in December, and then in January and February, the winds picked up and they wouldn't let it jump if the winds were over certain so many knots. So then again, I jumped one last time in March before I got out, and they offered me I can jump if I re-enlisted, and I said no. I think I'll get out.
When you were in Vietnam, can you remember what your accommodations were like? Did you have mattresses?
When I first got there, I never had a mattress. We always had those military cots. When I first got there, we slept in tents for the longest time. We had a dirt floor. Then after maybe like 4 or 5 months, then we finally they had hardback tents, which just basically it's a tent with a wood floor and a wood siding on it. And so, but when you were 18, 19 years old, you could use anything. So it wasn't. It's kind of like camping, more or less. So with people who didn't like you.
With people that didn't like you. What about the food? What was the food like?
Well, it's basically what we had. We had a lot of spam, and we used to call it Chalus steak. The only time we got really decent meals, well, I shouldn't say decent meal, they're all edible, but like Christmas time we had ham. I think we had turkey for Thanksgiving, but most of the time it was just C rations. They were K rations. It's C rations only in big volumes. So.
Okay, you talk about C rations and K rations. What is the difference?
C rations is an individual meal package. K rations is what the mess hall uses, but it's basically the same food, only in big quantities, and they would prepare it for us.
Okay.
They don't have C rations anymore now. It's all this dehydrated stuff back. As a matter of fact, when I was there, we had some stuff from the Second World War, because I remember getting a Lucky Strike package with a green label on it, and the cigarettes are like a cigar. I think they were emptying out their warehouse of all the World War II C rations. So. But when you're hungry, you're not very picky.
What about taking a shower?
Well, we were kind of fortunate. In the ammo dump, we had a bandolier container. It's made out of metal, so it's probably like 1.5 to 2 foot tall, and 8 by 8 or 10 by 10. So in the ammo dump we had a fire truck, and each fire truck, no matter where they're at, they have to have a heater in them in case they're deployed to cold weather. So when the truck driver go fill up the water up, he turned the heater on, so then he'd fill up the water. If you were first in line, you got a nice warm shower, but it wasn't like a shower head. It was more like a little drip that you turned on and you stood underneath it. Well, during the monsoon, we used to take a shower outside in the rain when it ought to run off on the tent. But sometimes rain would stop and you still had your face full of soap. So it was an experience. So you don't remember the bad times, you'll remember the good times. So
how do you take care of, like, keeping your uniforms clean?
Well, in Vietnam, they weren't very picky, and as long as we'd send the uniforms out to the village, and the mama san would wash it for it. As long as it wasn't ripped, they weren't very picky. There was no in Vietnam. There wasn't very much spit shine and polish. So As long as you kept your rifle clean and your uniform semi-clean, they were happy with that.
What about mail call?
Mail was always 2 or 3 weeks late. Like if we'd get the local newspaper, it'd be at least 2 weeks late. The mail, we had mail on a regular basis. Like I said, it was really slow snail mail. So it was, like I said, it was 2 or 3 weeks always late. But we got it on a regular basis. You get used to having your newspapers too. You don't know what's going on. Even if the newspaper's 2 weeks old, to you it's still news. So it doesn't matter what date's on a newspaper. It's still news to you.
Did you see any entertainment over there?
I got to see Roy Rogers and a female comedian. I can't remember her name. It's been over 40 years. I don't remember the comedian's name, but she was pretty popular at the time. Bob Hope flew right over the top of us. He went straight to Da Nang and then Chulai. And he went from Da Nang right to Hanoi, not Hanoi, Saigon. He flew right over Chulai. We were too small for him to bother with.
So. Did you keep like a diary or anything like that?
No, the only thing I kept, I had a Vietnamese flag, and I had all my friends that were rotating before me. They'd sign it and leave a little souvenir, a hand grenade pin. One guy left he had a little plastic soldier he carried with me. He pinned it on my flag, and then that's what I brought home with me as a diary. No, not much.
Do you still have a flag?
Unfortunately, no. Somebody had stolen it from me. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it really is. I cherished it, but somebody stole it out of my apartment.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
Oh yeah, no problem. The military took care of that. We had all the ammo we needed, and uniforms. So yeah, the supplies was fine.
Oh. Excuse me. Not enough oxygen. Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yes, yeah. I remember for the last week I was there, I'd rub it into everybody's nose that I was leaving, that I was a short timer. And I remember when I was checking out, I had my CO had to sign my DD-214, and he says, well, if you re-enlist, I can promise you another rank. I said, no, I think I'll leave. I had enough. So I don't think I could have made the military my career. I mean, I was one of those guys that they just wanted to get out of the military. Plus, during the Vietnam War, if I had a re-enlisted chance, I would have probably ended up going back to Vietnam again, and I didn't really want to do that. So.
Did you, when you got out of the service, did you fly straight from Vietnam?
No, we flew from Chulai to Da Nang. From Da Nang, we flew to Okinawa. Stayed in Okinawa for 2 or 3 days. Then from there, we flew to Air Force Base just north of San Francisco. And then from there, I flew down to LA to visit some buddy of mine that rotated before I did. And then from there, I flew home. So I spent about 10 days on the West Coast with guys that I was stationed with that rotated before me. Then from there, I went home.
What did you do after you got home?
Got drunk. I stayed pretty much in that state for almost a year, and then I found my first wife, and things started happening. Got a job and started working construction. I stayed in construction for over 40 years, and it was okay. I mean, for my education or my lack of education, there's nothing I could do to make that kind of money. So I raised 6 kids and had 2 homes. So I had a good life. I was very fortunate.
Okay. Have you always lived in the Chicago area?
Yes, yeah. I lived on the north side of the city, north side of Chicago, up until I did join the military. Then when I got out, my parents had moved out to Niles, Illinois, and I stayed there with my parents for a couple of months. Then I went out on my own and just stayed in the city most of the time. After my second child, after my daughter was 4 years old, we moved out to Buffalo Grove, and then I raised my kids in the suburbs for most of my life.
Did you ever take advantage of like the GI Bill or any?
I bought my first home on a GI Bill. So I spent my first 2 homes on a GI Bill. So yeah, I took advantage of that. I never took advantage of the schooling. I take that back. I did when I was an apprentice through Local 1. I used that for my apprenticeship. So that helped pay some of the bills. Yeah, military. For the time I put into the military, they did good by me. I have no complaints.
Did you ever go to any kind of reunions or?
Unfortunately, no. When we all left now, we kept saying that we were gonna meet at the Olympics with I forgot what year it was, but it was like 69 or 70 down in Mexico. But some of the guys got married, and we just lost track of each other, and just unfortunately, I never did run into them. I did have a call from somebody I was stationed with in Camp Lejeune, right out of Clear Blue. He see my name on the internet, and we talked for a little while. And I never ran into any of the guys I was stationed with. Unfortunately, I would like to have seen them. If I ran up to now, I probably won't recognize anybody. We've changed so much. So.
Okay. Did you join any? Did you join any kind of veterans organization?
I did not. I wanted to join VFW, but at that time, Vietnam, it was leaving everybody a bad taste in the mouth, and they. No, I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. How did your service and experience affect your life? When I say that, coming home, was it a good experience coming home?
No, not really. I mean, everybody hated the Vietnam War, and they took it out on the veterans. I mean, I remember when I first got out, or I'm not sure if I first got out when I was home on leave from Vietnam before I went to Beaufort, South Carolina. Me and a buddy of mine, we were sitting there in a restaurant in the old neighborhood, and a girl that I went to grammar school with. See, coming from a Ukrainian village, we all kept track of each other through our parents. Our parents were the church, so my son is here, my son is there. And girl that I went to grammar school with, she was a year younger than me. She come up to me and she says, "You back with Vietnam, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." I thought she'd say, "Well, glad you came back, glad you're safe." She says to me, "How was baby killing?" I mean, and that hurt so bad. And I just got, from that point on, I stayed away from, I wasn't ashamed of my time in Vietnam. I just didn't advertise it. It wasn't something that you didn't wear it on your sleeve. But I was never ashamed. If somebody asked me, I said, "Yeah, I did my time in Vietnam." That kind of attitude people had towards the military. So, but hopefully that all changed. So the guys coming back now are respected, and the people are grateful for their service. We didn't get the same treatment.
Do you think they're getting good medical care?
Yeah. I've been volunteering here for 4 years, and for the most part, yeah. I mean, everybody has something to complain about, but for the facility here, they're doing a good job for the vets. I don't see anything wrong with it at all.
Okay, you volunteer here at the healthcare center.
Yeah, I volunteer 3 days a week.
Okay, what do you do here at the healthcare center?
I escort the patients to the different clinics. I pass out wheelchairs if they need help getting out of the car. Then on Sundays I come and I take the patients from the ward to church, to the chapel, and then bring them back to the ward after Mass. So.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
4 years.
4 years?
I retired in of October of 2009, and I started volunteering, I believe it was January of 10.
Oh, I've noticed that a lot of veterans volunteer. Do you have to be a veteran to volunteer here?
No. You know what? I do not know that. I do not know if it's mandatory to be a volunteer, but I know all the volunteers are veterans. But if it's mandatory, I'm not sure. I don't see why it would be, but all the volunteers that work with me, every one of them is a veteran.
Have you ever had a young man or woman come to you and ask you if they should join the military, and if so, have you encouraged them?
Nobody's ever asked me if they should join, but I've been trying to encourage my grandsons to go, and with very little success, I must say. So.
Okay. What about what is taught in school now? Do you think that what history lessons are taught in school about war, and do you think it's being taught?
No, the lesson they're teaching kids these days. I mean, most kids don't even know when the country was founded or what our history is. I don't even think they teach history in class anymore. It's just so diluted. It's not the same. The America we have today is not the same America that I grew up with. It's a different place, and I'd like to see it go back to how it used to be. Unfortunately, I don't think that'll ever happen.
Okay. I want to go back, and I want to ask a question about boot camp.
Okay.
When you got off the plane or the train or the bus, what was your first impression?
Well, we flew into San Diego, and the Navy also has their basic training in the San Diego area. So we were all kind of milling around. The Marines are here and the sailors over here, and a Greyhound bus pulled up, and all the sailors got on their bus, a nice looking bus, and they took off. And we're standing there, and all of a sudden I see this semi come flying in there, and it had windows in the semi, and I thought to myself, why would they have windows in a semi? It was our cattle car. This little, I think it was the E7 or E8 sergeant, jumps off, walks off the middle of the thing, kicks the door, and starts screaming at us, get in, get in, get in, get in. I thought to myself, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Then they took us to boot camp, they dropped us off there, and they had these little yellow footprints that he had to step on. And they're up just kind of milling around, and he's screaming, and it's like, this guy's sane? I mean, it was definitely an awakening. It was a day. It was something I did not expect. But they got to break it down to build you up to what they want you. So they do it right from get-go.
So it was a new beginning.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and it's something I don't regret. If I hadn't joined the military, I was not going on the right track. I needed something to straighten my life up, and then the military did it. To stay in, I would have never stayed in the military. It's not the attitude I had at that time. Do I regret not staying in? I don't think so. I don't think I would have succeeded very, very far. Eventually, I think I would have got kicked out or locked up. But it definitely helped me from the attitude I had, being a punk kid off the corner. So, yeah, I have no regrets.
I see you have a lot of medals, or a lot of pins on your...
Well, this is my two units. This is my Vietnam pin, my flag, Marine Corps, and my fish. So.
Okay. And what unit were you in?
When I was in North Carolina, I was with the 8th Marines. When I was in Vietnam, I was with the 3rd Marine Division. So.
What is the one thing that in your military service that you think that to this day you owe your life to?
I'm sorry, say the question again.
What is the one thing to your military service that you think to this day you owe your life to?
Just the experience, the experience in the military where it took me, it taught me independence, taught me how to survive, taught me self-reliance, discipline. Yeah, that's what like I said, if I hadn't joined the military, I'm sure the path I was heading was not the right direction to go. The military was good for me. So, and I recommend the military go to everybody. I think everybody, both male and female, should spend at least 2 years in the military. Again, it'll teach them discipline. You'll meet people from different walks of life that you'll never ever meet, that you can only read about in books. You'll see things that you'll never ever see, that you only read about in books. It's an experience I think everybody should go through. I have a daughter in the military, and I'm very proud of her.
You weren't drafted. You enlisted.
I enlisted. Correct. Yeah.
And at the time, you could not be drafted into the.
Well, in '64, no, the draft was not activated yet. I don't think it was activated till later. The exact dates I'm not sure, but I don't think they had a draft in 1964.
When well, how was let's see. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about the military or about your time spent?
No, I don't regret the time I was in. I was part of my life that was good for me. I think that the government doesn't respect the military enough. They take the military for granted. The government used the military like a tool. When they need them, they take care of them. When after there's no more wars, they just kind of put them aside. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. I don't think the military gets the respect that the people that go through the military, what they do for the country. I don't think the people appreciate it. There's a saying that I read somewhere, and it goes like, "For those who fought for it, freedom is a flavor. The sheltered will never truly know." And I believe that they have people who are protected have no idea what the cost of freedom truly is. So.
What do you think about the idea that they're proposing for the first time since I think it's World War II that they decrease the troops?
Well, I read, I said on the news today or yesterday that they plan on depleting the military to post-World War II era. I mean, everything's going on in the world now with Iran getting the nuclear bomb, North Korea looking at the nuclear bomb, all the attacks from the radical Islam, Syria, Russia, straight. I mean, right now China's Navy, I believe, is stronger than our Navy. We're no longer the big guy in the block. And if they keep depleting the military, what they're doing, America needs a strong military. Even if we don't use it, the threat of our military should be there, or we're not going to be the strong guy in the block anymore. And I'm afraid that's what's happening now, especially under this administration.
Do you think it's the right time then?
To deplete the military?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's ever the right time to deplete the military. We should have a strong military. We're spending too much money on domestic stuff instead of the military. I mean, look at under Clinton. Clinton depleted the military so bad that the USS Cole that got bombed had to go into port because we had no seagoing tankers to refuel it. You can't do that to the military. It's just, again, when they need the military, they're respected. When they don't need them, like right now, I mean, look what they're talking about, cutting the army from 590,000 to 440,000. That's almost a third of the military gone. That's ridiculous. That's, it's. I hope when the new president steps in, I hope he's more of a conservative than what we have now. Doesn't have to be Republican, as long as he's conservative. But it seems to me, whenever there's a Democrat in the White House, the military suffers for it, and that's a shame.
What about cutting the National Guard like they're planning on?
Well, the National Guard, the National Guard, why don't we put the National Guard? The National Guard has to have 2 weeks of training every year. Why not put the National Guard on the southern border? Let them have their training there. They'll get the training, plus it'll help protect the borders. We have 2,000 of our army between the North and South Korean border. South Korea is an independent country. It's 180 miles between the two borders, and we have 2,000 troops there. We have 2,000 miles between America and Mexico, and we have 200 border guards. That's ridiculous. The National Guard have been trained on a border. Just their presence alone will slow down the immigration rate from Mexico to America. Even their Air National Guard, they can fly them down there. Everybody benefits. In my opinion, just a dumb Marine, if I could figure that out, Washington can't. I don't understand that. I don't think they want us to close the border personally.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Vote. Don't forget to vote. And think about it before you vote. How'd I do?
Well, at this time, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to interview you today.
Okay.
And also, I'd like to thank you for the time that you gave to our country as you served our country.
Thank you.
And I feel honored.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.